go back to the bad old days of having these very...
Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, this is Oman, Yemen, Eritrea, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Tibet, China, Mongolia, welcome to Korea, North Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, I'm in Burma, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei, welcome to the Philippines, East Timor, Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, I'm in Australia, New Caledonia, Vanuatu, Fiji, Tuvalu, I'm on Wallis, Futuna, Kiribati, Marshall Islands, Samoa, American Samoa, Tonga, New Zealand, Nauru, the Northern Mariana Islands, Guam, Federated States of Micronesia, Palau, Hong Kong, Macau, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, the Seychelles, South Sudan. Woo!
Ooh.
Good evening.
Oh, great timing.
We're here. Are you there?
Oh,
Can we hear you?
I'm here.
Yay! Welcome to the Snowflake Show.
Hello.
As you can probably tell, this is not Regan Elite over here.
I'm on
Graham
telly.
Hughes,
Mum,
the legend
I'm on
Graham
the telly.
Hughes. And there's only one thing when we have a legend on the telly. There we go. Kids cheering. How
Hello.
you doing, Graham?
Hiya. Hi, everyone. Ginger's Giraffes was saying Graham looks so young when she was looking at the pictures of me.
Oh, the video.
You know,
Yeah.
when I was young and beautiful. Before the dark times, before the Empire.
Welcome to the Snowflake.
Old Obi-Wan.
Welcome to the Snowflake Show. Regan can't make it today, so Graham Hughes is here, as I just said. Hi, Graham. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm all right. I'm all right.
Good, good.
Just have to step in.
Yes, step in last minute. No, really appreciate it, Graham. It's brilliant. You come on the show for us. Regan usually does this introduction stuff, so I'm rubbish at it. I never pay attention to what he's saying. So,
I'll need to do it for you.
No, we'll go straight into the chat and just pretend that we've done it all. Lefty Boaters here, Evening Snowflakes, Casper Northern's here, Duke Vengeance, Knights of the Blizzard, arise! Ginger's
I
Giraffe.
recognise a lot of these names.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Ginger's Grass, hey all. Hughes, Everday Thomas, you're late. Caught the Marcus disease. Yeah, unfortunately, that was me messing about. Anyone want a shed built? I was watching one of your videos with all your hedges and stuff. There's quite a lot more than what I've got, which is pretty bad. Good evening, all. Smashed. Ginger's Giraffe, Graham looks so young. Yes. Pedulous. Good evening, all. Bonsoir. Tous. Bonsoir. Pedulous. Labour Socials says Brexit has super aged me.
Yes, that was me.
You still look young, Graham.
Because it's made me older. It's like drinking from the wrong grail. Do you know what I mean? I chose poorly.
And then we've got Pendulous, Casper Northern. We've got Ben Shaw's here. Even though I hope all is well, guys. Roycine, Malone's here. Vendetta's here. And yeah, I think that's everybody so far. But yeah, welcome.
Welcome.
So, if anybody doesn't know Graham is the anti-Brexit campaigner. But before that, you were the first person, world record person. That fits really nice over that hat.
I'm like 50 Cent. I wear two hats.
First Guinness World Record breaker, first person to visit every country in the world without flying. Right. Get in. There you go.
Yeah, that's me. I did that.
Right. Yeah. I'm completely lost now. This is all thrown me completely. So we just do the news. We'll just go straight into the news. I think Reagan usually just waffles on, and I just kind of get everything done in the background. So, right.
Okay, if you want me to waffle, I'm very good at waffling, as anyone who watches any of my shows knows.
Yeah, plenty of time
Who's
to do
news?
that when we go into news. So we've got news.
Here we go.
There is music. Oh no, not that one. Oh, I know, I've lost where it's gone. Where's it gone? There we go. There's the one. Right, it's running through the articles. So, Trans-Pennine Express, you brought under government control due to continuous cancellations. Sure, you'd have plenty
Thank
of...
fuck for that.
Yeah, plenty of
I
experience.
have to
of
travel on the Trans-Pennine Express from Durham to Liverpool very often, and it is like the shittest mode of transport ever in all the world.
Yeah.
I've taken some really shitty forms of transport in my time, Lee, in my
travelling around the
time,
world.
and I don't think I've ever been anywhere in the world that actually has a train that runs for 3 hours that has no toilet on board.
Jesus. Yeah. I bet is it
And
one of
everyone
the
has to
old
get
ones?
off at Huddersfield and queue for the loo, and everyone's literally wetting themselves.
Terrible.
Shouldn't have had that third pint, should you, dickheads?
So, but Trans-Pennine Express. So, I mean, hopefully, the thing is, the rail privatisation project has been a complete disaster from the beginning. You know, all
Yes.
these every
Now
single
1 in 4 trains are nationalised. 1 in 4.
And most of those companies have at some point been nationalised as well. And network
Public transport, the clue is in the name. But we like to do this in the UK. We have public schools, which are actually private schools, and we have public transport that's actually private transport. Yeah. Someone's making a profit.
He's not nobody's making a profit, and the Tories aren't doing the job properly. So,
Marcus is here. He says speedos.
Marcus is here. Don't mention the speedos.
Speedos.
Hi, Marcus. Right, so the Bank of England's raised interest rates at 12 consecutive times, trying to stop prices rising so quickly. The bank rate has gone up to 4.5% from 4.25% for a meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee. I mean, this one follows its soaring interest rates. It's cost UK mortgage holders £12 billion in extra payments. I mean,
Fuck
the
me sideways.
the reason for the soaring inflation was nothing to do with people spending more. It was to do with the war in Ukraine, supply of food, and obviously electricity, gas prices went through the roof, and those are the reasons why prices have gone up. But so people are getting hit from both sides. The prices going up and the mortgages, but also if you're a renter, your rent's going to go up as well because of the.
Why is everything so expensive? Everything should be cheaper than ever before.
Yeah.
I don't get this, right? Every fucker who made a bloody house in this country is dead, pretty much. I mean, I know we've got some new builds, but the vast majority of housing in this country is like 100 years old.
Mm.
Like everyone who paid for it to be made, everyone who bought the land in the first place to build the house is dead. Literally everyone involved is dead. And it's like going, this old movie from the 1930s that, like everyone in it is dead now. We need this movie needs to make more and more money every year.
Yeah.
And that's the way the economy works. And you're like, what? Why? Like they got paid at the time. Now they're shuffled off this mortal coil. But yeah, people have got to make money. And the way they do it through housing, it's disgusting. It's disgraceful.
I mean, the house
should be free.
The amount of the cost of a house when I was a kid was like a few grand.
I know.
And now
You have half-penny suites and everything.
But compared to the price of the amount it would compared to your salary, it wasn't a massive huge amount. It was easily.
Oh, it was not an average of 9% your rent or your mortgage was about 9% of your income. Now it's around 33% of your income.
Yeah.
I mean, shit a brick. That's just ridiculous. And then you get heating on top of that. Your energy bills has gone through the roof. And just even something as simple as a pint of milk used to be 60p. It's now 99p in our local shop.
A loaf of bread used to in Aldi, a Lidl was about 49p. It's now 75, something like that.
Yeah. And it's those basics that are just pushing up the cost of living for everyone. And this is at a time when we have an amazing logistics system around the world for getting stuff that's made halfway across the world with materials from the other side of the world to that together, and to make this stuff, put it together and get it out to market. And yeah, everything's more expensive. We've got robots making cars now, but they're more expensive than ever before. When this house was built, I'm in a Victorian house here in Durham. That's why it's bloody cold all the time. But this was built with horse and carts.
Right.
We didn't have a JCB. No. It was people with shovels digging. No pneumatic drills. Like, how is everything so expensive now? Everything should be cheap as chips.
Just looking at the chat, Aki's mad here. He's still pulls, but Aki's down 1-0 in the playoffs. So sorry about Aki. Vendet's here, 91 leads here. Let's just check in. Verticu's here. Hi Verticu. Chatty Rat's here. Who's the guy in the hat? It says what? It says Marcus. Left you out. It says about time.
Marcus, my fellow hat wearer.
Trans-Pennine Express is awful. Yep. Adrian Wilson's here. Says infrastructure is only getting worse and worse in Britain. Speedos.
Yes.
Speedos.
I think Marcus is just sitting there going, Speedos.
Who else is there? How do the discussion go directly to Mankini's? No, we're not talking Mankini's. We're talking Speedos. Anyway, Scoop Num Rat Num Uzna, Gone with the Wind. Okay, fair enough. Verticu Ola. Scoop, it is bad. Tom Nelson's here, says evening snowflakes, evening Tom. Oh, it suddenly jumped and I've missed a load there. Does that?
That is a great line from Mad Monk there saying, I'm drunk, woohoo.
Good luck, bro. Mad Monk is always, he has a thing on a Wednesday with his brothers, so he always misses the show. But Lefty Bot says, my last house was built in 1845, sorry, 2 up, 2 down, former back to back.
Yeah. I mean, like, it just seems bizarre to me. Like, if someone makes something now and says, I want to sell this to you for a tenner, you're like, well, you just made it and you need the money for making it. So here you go. But we're living in things that were built before our grandparents were fucking born. And it's like, no, that's got to be £500,000, please. And it's like, how does that work? That is voodoo economics.
Yeah.
What is this? Is this communism? Is this what communism looks like? I don't know.
Oh.
But explain it to me.
Let's right. So go back to the notes. Former Labour MP Paul Clark's jailed over child abuse images. Tory MP at centre of rape investigation gets go ahead to run for re-election.
Oh my God!
Open democracy.
Who's that? We know who that is, or can't we say?
I don't think we can say.
For fuck's sake!
Right, Suella Braverman rails against experts and elites in partisan speech. There's a great video. There's a great video of
privately educated Suella Braverman who went to a private school. And yeah, she doesn't like elites.
No,
she's definitely part of the elite.
Do you ever listen to the news agents or watch their stuff?
Yes. Yeah, I was just watching a clip of that just before I came on.
Was it the clip?
Rachel Weisz.
Oh, right. It was the clip. Who's the presenter on that? I was forgetting the name now.
Who I love, by the way.
Oh, Rachel Weisz. Oh, Rachel Weisz, married to, what's his name? Yeah, I do.
A ginge. She's married to a ginge, mate.
Married to a ginge.
Isn't she? Is she? No, she's married to Daniel Craig, isn't she?
Daniel Craig,
I'm thinking of Jennifer Connelly, who also, Jennifer, if you're watching, call me. She's married to Paul Bettany, isn't she? She has a thing for the ginge. You know what they say? Once you have a ginge, you never live it down. Anyway, go on.
On the news agency, who's the presenter on that? The woman,
Emily Maitlis.
Emily Maitlis, yeah, she did this brilliant clip.
And then some blokes.
She literally just explained, just says that after Brexit, everybody was like, we were all just looking at everybody left behind, all these left behind people. And then she said, like, we're being told. You realise you're being told that we're all we're all really being called elites by people who are like privately educated, trust funds, went to private school, all the things. It was just spot on, absolutely spot on what she said.
James O'Brien was talking about his top 10 people who caused caused Brexit, basically caused, and he mentioned 5 people, maybe 6, but the people that I can remember that he mentioned Corbyn, he mentioned Cameron, Mogg, maybe not Mogg, maybe Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage, I guess Aaron Banks, and all of them privately educated, every single one born a millionaire, and then they call me a Scouser, metropolitan elite, and that's why I'd like to meet them in real life. I don't want to get you demonetized, so I won't say what I'll do, but like, I'll just show them how elite I am.
We don't make any money on this, so don't worry about it.
Oh, don't you? Great. All right.
We don't do super chats or anything like that. But if anyone wants to give a super chat
for a chat,
we'll give you links for Graham's for Labour Social. We'll talk about that in a bit as well. Labour Social.
Yes.
That was what I wanted to talk to you about actually. But Suella Braverman accused of breaching barristers' code over racist language.
Yes, she's getting kicked out. She's getting kicked out the bar, isn't she?
Yeah. So this was
from the bar.
The one before was at that NatC conference in
the National Conservative Conference.
NatC conference.
They did not see that coming.
And then there was I missed one there.
Isn't be great.
No, I think it's an article we're going to come back to in a bit. So then there's one is over NHS data privacy over after stalker doctor shares women's records. That's not good, is it?
Jesus.
You
got any good news, Lee? Can I have some good news?
Sorry, let's go back to this. Up to 2 million potential voters put off by new photo ID rules in May elections.
Wow, that is voter suppression on a scale that we don't really see in Western nations.
No.
Off the charts in it. Yeah. And that horrible little haunted pencil Rees Mogg stands up at the Nazi conference. And he's like...
He admits it.
Oh, yeah, we did that to gerrymander the vote. It didn't work. Loads of old people turned up.
It's funny because I literally said it last week, so it's backfired on because it seemed to only be elderly people who were more likely to vote Conservative. And he's just confirmed that.
They purposely didn't tell people, and they made it so it was things that they would probably have, like ID that they would probably have in their purse or their wallet. So it was the older person's Oyster card, but not the younger person's Oyster card.
People were turning up because I think a bus pass, but it was a national bus pass. People were turning up.
National bus pass was allowed.
Yeah, but there was people turning
senior
up.
Oyster
Local...
card was allowed for London voters, elderly London voters.
There wasn't any voting. London, was there?
Yeah, but not your Merseyrail pass in Liverpool.
But people were turning up with local bus passes, and they were getting rejected. So,
did he write Thunderbirds?
Who's that?
Was Jerry Anderson, wasn't it?
Jerry Anderson, yeah.
I met Jerry Anderson, when I worked at Fab Cafe in Manchester.
Oh, right. What was he doing?
And Sylvester McCoy.
Oh, was he doing like
Paul Darrow, who played
from
Avon
in
Blake 7.
Blake 7. I was thinking about him before, actually. Because he played a
sci-fi football
programmer.
Results. It's Blake 7, Babylon 5.
Babylon 5. Do love Babylon 5 as well.
Space 1999. Didn't they do well?
Space 1999. Oh, damn, what's the other one? I can never remember stuff off.
Captain Scarlet. Joe 90.
Joe 90, yeah. Space 1999, Joe 90. Fireball XL5. Tory backlash is 1 in 5 with being higher income tax rate by 2027. So this one is basically that it's because they've frozen normally the tax bands go up, but because they've frozen them, basically everybody's paying more tax every year. And this has been going on for a few years now. They stopped raising the tax band a few years under Boris Johnson, I believe. So,
yes, it's the party of low tax, isn't it?
The party of low tax, yes, yeah.
Can't even do that, right?
Tory Crime Commissioner triggered 2 police investigations into political opponents.
Oh my God.
I don't know the details of that one. I need to look that one up. Reagan kind of gave me a load of these stuff, so I've just chucked it in, but I haven't had a chance to look at what they are. But I will see if we can find an article on that and post it in the chat or whatever later. So
Leslie's saying, wish Hitchens was still here. Well, his terrible brother is.
Yeah.
The wrong one died.
Yeah.
He would have slapped them into place. And then Vedetta saying, UFO before my time, Blake 7 and Space 1999 is not so much.
Yeah.
Cliff
Richard
sang the Fireball XL5 theme tune. There you go. There's a bit of pop trivia for you.
Paul Darrow died fairly recently. That's a shame. He played a computer programmer, and I think it was like a 1970s idea of computer programmer was just like evil and non-emotional.
Yes. What you mean, like what, like Mark Zuckerberg? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mean like Elon Musk? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're not really like that. Not really evil and weird and evil.
Perhaps JRM was attacking.
Come on, we haven't mentioned the news that the metaverse has imploded.
What's that?
Facebook changed its name to Meta, and they invested billions and billions and billions in this shite kind of Sims world online when no one had legs. Well, they've sacked it off, and now they're spending money on AI because that's what everyone else is doing.
Didn't they know that Second Life has been going for like 20 years?
Yeah,
but,
yeah. So basically, it's one of those things. Like I guess the days of creating something and being good at it, and then just allowing people to buy that thing that you do that you're good at is never good enough these days. You've got to make more money. You've got to make more money. You've got to grow. You've got to grow. You've got to grow. And so these companies, they keep on expanding into areas that they know nothing about, that they're absolutely shite at, spend all their money, and then they collapse. And it's just over and over again. You just see the same thing happening.
Well, I saw that they're gonna Meta's gonna launch like a Twitter rival, based on I think through Instagram. So, but I mean, it's just like going from one to another, isn't it? I think you're better off with something.
The USP for Twitter is that you can tweet shit to celebrities, and you can't do that on any other platform. Can't do that on Facebook because really there aren't, if there is someone on Facebook, it's not really them, is it? It's their team. There's a good chance that when Trump was sitting on the toilet tweeting something, if you wrote, "You're a daft cunt, you are, Trump," there's a good chance he could have seen it.
Yeah.
And it could ruin his day, and he could go to bed crying because you put that on Twitter. There's no other publicly available platform that has ever existed in humanity that you could do that. You couldn't do it with a homing pigeon, could you? You're a gobshite. You are Robin Hood.
Well, Facebook You used to be able to do that. You used to be able to, it used to, like, I'm still friends with people, with celebrities and that famous people. But the debate after Twitter is when I changed it to like a followers thing. So rather than having a page which is like for your friends and people that accepted your friend requests, they just went to followers.
But I hate that because I want to put stuff up, right? So what happens is I use Facebook for just my personal stuff, really. I might put some political things now and again, but that's what I use Twitter for because I don't want to get into arguments with my friends or people that I know or acquaintances or family members on Facebook about politics. I save it for YouTube and Twitter because then I can just argue with strangers and I don't care if they say, I'm never speaking to you again. I'm like, okay, I wasn't in your will anyway, so give a shit.
Talking lots of talk about gerrymandering. Jerry. What's his name?
Jerry Anderson.
Jerry Anderson. Gerrymandering.
And then
gerrymandering. Did he sing "You'll Never Walk Along"? Ferry Cross the Mersey.
He did.
Gerrymandering.
It was gerrymandering and the pacemakers.
That was good. That was a great moment in the Eurovision where they did that. When they all came on stage. I mean, it was kind of like brought a tear to the eye. Very emotional. But,
the one that got me was the production they did early on when it was "Ordinary World" by Duran Duran, and it was a singer from Ukraine singing it in Ukrainian.
Oh, right.
And that was really like, oh, that was
I think that's it. I didn't see the whole first bit because Stockport were playing, so I missed most of the music part. Did you actually go to were you during the day or you were the actual final?
I was there during the day.
Right. So was it like a dress rehearsal sort of thing?
Well, they call it the judges final because basically that's where the judges decide what scores they're going to give.
Oh, right. So they already prejudge it before.
And then in the evening, you get another performance. And so, for instance, I think that May, our entry, I think she was much better in the evening show than she was in the afternoon show. And I think that was reflected in the scores that she was given by the judges. But then she didn't get much in the audience score either.
No, she went from like about fifth or sixth from bottom to second from bottom. So
yeah, second to bottom.
For me, that song was like a classic Eurovision song. But I think
it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't awful. Song. But I hate it when people go, "Oh, so political, so political." It's like everyone who watches Eurovision's just having a laugh, and they're all gay, and just everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
They're not sitting there going, "Oh, fucking hate bloody Luxembourg, fuck that country." I'm gonna. You vote for places, you don't vote against them. And when we finally put in a decent song last year, got to number 2.
Yeah.
It would have won had dickhead bloody Putin not invaded Ukraine, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, it's all like
Ben Shaw says, "How can anyone make a Duran Duran song bearable?" Fair point. It was really good.
Now that Farage's out of a job, do you think he'll do Big Brother or I'm a Celebrity? Well, he's still doing the rounds, isn't he? I mean, how does he get on Newsnight and things like that when he hasn't even got a party? Is he actually part of a party or he's not? I can't work out whether he's.
He's a horrible, horrible human being.
Just a grifter,
he's a
isn't
fucking scumbag, that guy. You know, he was in that plane crash about 10 years ago.
Yes, well, a bit longer than that, but yeah. Unfortunately,
do you know the follow-on to that story?
What was that?
You know, the pilot killed himself.
Did he?
Yeah, fucking did. Just put 2 and 2 together. What happened there? But yeah, after the crash, a couple of years after the crash, the pilot killed himself.
I think
that dickhead bloody Farage has got some really shady mates.
What you
hate him?
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I won't say what you think, what you might be suggesting, but yeah, I'm so close. That
ruining your show here, aren't I? I'm demonetizing
No, don't worry. We don't.
No, I'll tell you what, Lee, seriously, YouTube is driving me up the fucking wall because it is blocking every one of my videos from. It's demonetizing every one of my videos that I put up.
Why?
Even when it's Phil, even when it's nice, gentle Phil explaining things, it's not me being a gobby scouser going, "Fucking hell, knobheads," and people are putting in the chat, calm down. No, this is like Phil's videos. As soon as they go up, the live ones, it says, we've got to do a manual check to make sure these are all right. And they've done that now on over 30 of the Labour Social videos over the last month.
Is that because, do you think it's you, or do you think it's the name of the channel, or do you just think the content? Or...
I don't know, whatever algorithm I'm annoying it. But then, like, literally, it'll be like 36 hours later, I'll get an email saying, "Oh, it's okay for all advertisers." But by then, the bulk of the people who are going to watch it have watched the damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Does I take it what's it? Phil doesn't get that problem.
Not on his channel,
on his
no.
Channel, no.
But he's had problems in the past with stuff going up. But don't forget, a lot of the stuff that we do on Labour Social is live.
Right.
So basically, people watch it on catch up if you like, but I can't really set it to unlisted until it gets cleared. Whereas if it's a pre-record, I can set it to unlisted. But I keep doing this as well. So yesterday, I put up a video about Rees-Mogg and Farage accidentally fucking telling the truth, and it went out. I uploaded it in the daytime yesterday, and it didn't actually give me the thumbs up to that I could have advertising on it until the next morning. So by then, in the video, I'm saying they said this today or they said this yesterday, and it's out of date already.
Yeah.
When you're talking about news and current affairs, it's so annoying. Anyway.
Yeah, just go back into chat because loads of messages.
AllShorts has the same problem. Yeah, we've got loads of messages. We've got this Scoopnum writing things.
Scoopnum, I saw it. AllShorts says I have the same problem with YouTube and wonder sometimes why I bother. Yeah.
Well, Marcus had a thing where basically they flagged up, I think, like all of his videos at once.
Yeah.
Say they're all ineligible for advertising. You have to go through each and every one and set them to private or something.
I think he got suspended for a week. All his videos.
Yeah, it's like a copyright strike or something.
Yeah. And,
honestly, it's so frustrating. Did I ever tell you about the copyright strikes that I've had in the past, where it's been a clip of my travels that's been used on a news show or a TED talk, and then it's come back to me that footage is owned by TED or owned by CBS or owned by the BBC, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's my footage of me that I let them use, and it's got in the corner like Graham Hughes YouTube, and I'm like, I have to wait then ages for the copyright to go down.
Disgraceful. The problem is a lot of it's automated, isn't it, with YouTube? So like Marcus said, he sent it to your sponsor, and he got a reply back like almost instantly. So it's like nobody's looked at that. It's just it's just rejected it straight away without even anybody looking at it. Yeah. Eurovision, I did it. So actually, I can't remember anyone I met that saw it. Oh well, fair enough. Duran, they're still around. The 80s are over, aren't they? Yep. Leslie says, give him a 5.
Ordinary World came out in 1993, which is 30 years ago.
Right.
Also came out in 1993. Suede's first album was that was 93, wasn't it? And Blur's Modern Life is Rubbish, their second album came out. 30 years ago, Lee. 30 years ago. Making people feel old.
So Larry the Cat says, I'd like to in a coward box with a dog on a string. Okay. Casanova says, I love your videos at AllShorts. There you go. Lots of love for AllShorts, Marcus. Right. YouTube, Zhao says, YouTube must be run by a monkey in a mankini punching keys at random while playing with himself. Yeah. We've got a troll on the channel. I can't see any. Maybe I'm looking at. I've got it on top chat or on live chat. I can't see any trolls. I haven't seen anything. If anybody lets me know, I will. Is it Scoopnum? It doesn't seem to. Nothing really. No. Okay. Doesn't seem bad. Okay. Mad Monkey, let us know who it is. I'll see what I can do. Right, so should we move on to the next thing then? We haven't even started yet. Barely even started.
Have we not? Come on, crack on. Come on. We go to
right,
bed sometime
first thing.
Today.
So Nigel Farage says Brexit has failed.
Farage,
sorry.
Farage
Economically, the UK would have been better staying in, wouldn't it?
Fuck you, Farage.
I credit that for a moment. But what I do think...
Based on all that?
But what I do think is we haven't actually benefited from Brexit economically when we could have done. I mean, what Brexit's proved, I'm afraid, is that our politicians are about as useless as the commissioners in Brussels were. We've mismanaged this totally. And if you look at simple things such as takeovers, such as corporation tax, we are driving business away from our country. Arguably, now we're back in control. We're regulating our own businesses even more than they were as EU members. Brexit has failed.
For you then?
Well, I wouldn't rule it out. It's not top of my bucket list, but frankly, we've not delivered on borders. We've not delivered on Brexit. The Tories have let us down very, very bad.
Brexit has failed.
He's
not wrong, is he?
He's not wrong, but I don't think he's saying it's the government's fault. But it's the fact
it's not his fault.
There was no deal to be done. There was no deal.
There's a wonderful, amazing Brexit. It just goes to another school.
Yeah.
It's communism, isn't it? Like, whenever you talk to someone who's a diehard communist and you point out the fact that every time it's been tried in real life, it's never worked out. They're like, yeah, but they did it wrong.
Yeah.
Every fucking time. And you're like, okay, look, it ran this experiment in many, many countries and gave the same results, which was that it didn't work for whatever reason. So give up. No, they weren't doing it right. Give them one more chance. It's kind of painful. Anyway, but I'm so sick of that gobshite's face. The day that him and all his ilk are never allowed on television again, it'll be a great day. But why I hate British soap operas? Fucking hell. Like, the Americans have got the right idea. Everyone in American TV and films pretty much is beautiful. You know why? Because we had to put up with fucking mingers like that horrible Home Secretary we've got in daily life every fucking day. We don't want to watch them on the telly. Is that really prejudice?
So anyway, go back to the
article.
article.
You don't want to pay to see them in a film. British film industry. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Stop putting ugly people in your films.
Right, his comments came as a row brewed in the Conservative Party over immigration with Suella Braverman, another one of your favourites, the Home Secretary, calling for overall numbers to come down in a speech at a Nazi conference that was viewed by some as a pitch for future leadership. In an interview with BBC Newsnight on Monday, Mr Farage lambasted UK politicians as being as useless as the commissioners in Brussels and accused the government of failing to control Britain's borders. Jesus Christ. It's put to Farage, presents a show on GB News after quitting politics. At recent polling is prepared to show an increasing number of people who voted for a Brexit now regret the decision, and the UK was the only G7 economy not to return to pre-pandemic levels. I don't think that for a moment. Well, the fact, polling tells you otherwise. I don't think that for a moment. When he replied when he was asked if you go better off staying in the EU. But what I do think is we haven't actually benefited Brexit. What we have done. I mean, this is basically going off the stuff he said there. When asked if he was considering a political comeback to tackle what he said was the government's failure on Brexit, he replied, "Well, I wouldn't rule it out. It's not the top of my bucket list, but frankly, we've not delivered on borders. We're not delivered on Brexit. The Tories will let us down very, very badly." I mean, he'll just jump on any.
It's everyone's fault, but his, isn't it?
Yeah. And he would have done it. He would obviously do it better.
Bastard. The damage that to this country and to the continent and to the world that fucker's done. Like, don't forget. I mean, we can be quite arrogant and go, "Oh, we're world beaten and we have an effect on the rest of the world." We don't have as much an effect on the world as we used to. That's true. But at the end of the day, think about it this way. The EU, as in the biggest, most successful trading union in history, had to waste 4 fucking years negotiating with dickheads in Britain about our divorce settlement. And they could have been, I don't know, doing stuff to stop the world from cooking.
Yeah.
Great. Well
so
done,
much
everyone.
Time was wasted on
wasted their fucking time. They wasted our own time instead of actually addressing the problem that was still burning more coal and oil than ever before and gas than ever before. We could have been addressing our energy needs and sharing it amongst the entire continent. We could have solar panels down in the south of Europe, and we could have wind turbines all in around the UK and up near Denmark and stuff, and all sharing an energy grid that just works. And it's economical and it's environmentally friendly. But no, we spent all this time quibbling over the fucking shape of bananas. Jesus Christ.
In the chat, Adrian Wilson says something is inherently immiserating and diminishing as Brexit was always going to have its consequences blamed on X and or Y scapegoating targets, whichever is most politically convenient. Yeah, we said this at the time. They'd be blaming everybody else, Remainers.
Yeah.
the Tories.
People's
Everybody.
spending power, it's going to be 5 years before it recovers.
Yes.
Every single man, woman, and child who is not a fucking millionaire in this country has been fucked by this Tory government.
Yeah,
And look, I'm running Labour Social at the moment, and it's fine. You know, I get some comments going, "Oh, Labour are just as bad," and I'm like, even if they were, even if in some parallel universe Labour were just as bad as the Tories, they're still going to be held to account a lot more than the Tories ever are. The Tories have Jacob Rees-Mogg standing up in front of the audience going, "Hey, we broke the law. We should be in jail. We gerrymandered. We brought in a rule to try and stop people from voting because we didn't want them to vote, which is massively against the law. Ha 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 ha. By the way, I also lied to the Queen about having to prorogue Parliament. Aren't I a shit?" He's standing there because he knows he's going to get away with it.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen with a Labour politician. None of them. No one's going to let them get away with that because all the media hate them. All the tabloids hate them. Murdoch hates them. Rothermere hates them. The Barclay brother, because there's only one left, hates them. Like, who's going to... Fucking Double Down News and Novara Media fucking hate them as well. Who have they got who's going to go, no, you can't press charges against these people. Here's a fiver. Look the other way. It's not going to happen. So aside from anything else, forget about policy, forget about individuals, forget about, taking money from dodgy corporations or whatever. The fact is that they're just not going to get away with half the shit the Tories have got away with. Have already got away with.
Yeah. OBRT said the country is undergoing the biggest squeeze in living standards of records. We do expect to get past this year and get into the next 3 or 4 years that real income starts to recover. 3 or 4 years. Back to level even after... But it's still the case that people's spending power doesn't get back to the level it was before the pandemic, even after 5 years, even by the time we get to late 2020s.
Yeah.
We've lost around 500,000 people from the labour force. We've seen stagnant investment since 2016. Also, our productivity has slowed dramatically since the financial crisis and not really recovered. Yeah, let's get that off the screen. Reports on Monday morning ahead of Brown's speech said the Home Secretary will put pressure on Prime Minister Rishi Sunak to bring down overall immigration. Yeah, she said at this conference, more Britons should be trained as HGV drivers, fruit pickers, and butchers, so the UK does not have to rely on foreign workers to fill jobs. Yeah, I saw I think a tweet the other day. It's like Thatcher basically went, "Nobody do any of this sort of work. You're going to be like service industry now. You'll be in call centres." Now it's like go back the other way. No, you all need to get on
go pick
manual
some
labour. Yeah.
Apparently, looking in the comments, Marcus is saying that his dog Wally is on antibiotics. Sorry to hear that, mate.
All right.
That kind of sucks.
Okay.
All the best to Wally. All the best to Wally.
AllShorts, Marcus also I bullied Piers Morgan apparently, so got struck off for hate crimes. Oh yeah, that was why Marcus was taken off for a week. Frog face with no princess that will kiss him in a month of Easter Sundays falling on Christmas Day, says Tom Nelson. Daily Blazese, hi Darren. Yeah, most of the Tories could be stars of snuff movie victims. Nice.
I can't be the only one who sort of thinks, in those dark hours where you just sort of get these mad thoughts of like what would be the best way to dispatch a lot of these motherfuckers from government plus.
Yeah. Adrian, you've already done that one. Sorry, someone said, I think it was, where did I see that now? Verticu says, I've been told.
AllShorts just says acid. I don't know exactly what he's talking about.
I've been told that bankers are humans and they have small bankers who have to start the school year in new country. I don't know what that's about. Who was it? I saw something before. Somebody said that it wasn't going to be for another 2025 was when it was going to get worse. Hughes says our local new car dealers assume we're selling donkeys and carts, never mind electric cars. Yeah, we'll move on to another one because we've got another article about that as well. So on this one, another one of your favourites as well. Everybody's favourite Tory. Tories revised plans.
I was saying before, like Kemi Badenoch and Priti Patel, It could be quite good looking if they weren't so fucking evil.
She's just so, but she's so like, I mean, the way she talked to the speaker last week,
Lindsay Hoyle.
Lindsay Hoyle.
I know. She was like, "Well, I'm sorry if you're offended, but you know, girl's got to do what a girl's got to do." And it was like, what the hell? She's a elected representative. She's a Secretary of State in this country. And just her attitude was just like, "Well, I'm sorry if it doesn't fit with your agenda." any apology that goes "sorry but" or "sorry if" is not an apology.
Yeah. She tried to sort of backtrack on it, but it was, well, he ripped her a new backside. So the Tories' revised plans to scrap EU laws are still reckless, say lawyers. So this is after the
the scrapping the clean air policies. So basically, your children are going to have to breathe in toxic gas into their faces.
As we get through this, you'll see what the issue is. The Conservatives' decision to water down proposed legislation to remove 4,000 EU laws from the statute books is still a reckless and irresponsible project, leading barristers said. While the Business Secretary Kevin Bagnott was accused of a massive climb down, barristers say the retention of sweeping undemocratic ministerial powers and the removal of the interpretive effect of EU law will blow up decades of legal precedent set by courts in Britain and makes the legislation like that found in authoritarian states. The government's change of approach, reducing the number of laws, is catching the headlines. It's welcome, but this is from partner at Bakewell's Eleanor Durs. It's welcome, but there's still a precipice for rights, liabilities, and powers. It was a reckless piece of legislation from the start, and it is still a reckless piece of legislation, she added. Durs, who specialises in data laws, previously worked for Dominic Raab to retain EU law when Brexit happened. We did that to provide certainty, she said. Now, all of a sudden, they are throwing out the window, and fundamental rights are going to be deleted by this law. At stake is the concept of interpretive law, something the government refers to as a supremacy of EU law. The government announced it will reduce the number of laws it's going to remove from statute books, but also it will be scrapping the rule that sets out how laws are interpreted, effectively voiding precedent set by courts and tribunals up and down the country over the past 47 years. You might know that the laws that remain on the statute books, but you won't know how to interpret them, says George Peretz Casey, an expert on the issue. He said it would have widespread impact on consumers, commercial interests, and environmental protections, which campaign groups have been fighting to save in the face of the hard Brexiteer legislation. If Badnock's version of the retained EU law bill, REUL, makes it to the statute books, employees will no longer be guaranteed their right not to be discriminated against on grounds of gender or race, for example, he said. An unscrupulous employer might simply say, "Sorry, you don't think that is the way that law should be interpreted," because no lawyer will be able to say they know how the law is interpreted. You might hire a lawyer, but they will just come back to you with a very expensive and elegant, "We don't know how this is interpreted either," Peretz said. It will mean the clock starts again in courts and tribunals up and down the country. With certainty bypass, commercial interests would have a free-for-all, reneging on obligations to protect farmland, wildlife, hedgerows, and freedom of information rules, experts said. Airlines, for instance, feeling the pinch, could decide to renege on the current guarantee of compensation for delayed or cancelled flights. They could argue disruption was outside their control and therefore covered by force majeure, rules which are currently restricted to exceptional events such as terrorism. They might argue that staff illness or industrial action is outside their control and they no longer have to pay the compensation. If rights are as uncertain as the weather, this is also really bad for business because what business likes is certainty. Both barristers who gave expert evidence to a parliamentary committee on the REUL also pointed out that the government has retained sweeping ministerial powers to reform, delete, or save laws without the usual parliamentary scrutiny.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's still
Mate, this is absolutely disgusting,
Yeah.
like what they're planning. And
Yeah.
they don't understand this. Do you know what I mean? This to them is just a fucking game.
Yeah.
It's just a laugh. Don't
They're just
forget, we had
like,
one of
we'll
the
just, like,
richest
get rid
human
of it, get
beings
rid of it.
on the planet as our
Mhm.
prime minister.
Yeah.
Not just our country, the planet.
Mhm.
Why does he want to be prime minister? Because it's a game to him.
Yeah.
A game to Boris Johnson. It's a game to Rees-Mogg. It's a game to fucking Cameron. There's trotters up in the south of France.
It's interesting. It's like the article. It said like there was an article about this, and they were saying, you know, they had a choice between trying to push through, trying to cut back from 4,000 laws to 600, or try and push it through to keep Jacob Rees-Mogg happy. And it's like, it's not the choice. We have put the whole trade risk, all our trade negotiations have been going on with the EU, all our agreements, and business certainty and all the legal implications of all this, or we just go, oh well, at least Jacob Rees-Mogg is happy. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
I don't want him happy. I want him sad. I want him sad, very, very, very sad. Sad. You know, like the end of The Little Mermaid, not the cartoon, but the book. I want him sad.
I want to keep doing that one. I haven't read it, so I don't.
Oh,
But very sad. What about when Bambi's mother died? Got shot?
She's so sad that she cries herself to being unalived on the beach and turns to foam.
God, that is harsh.
Yeah,
I think that doesn't happen in the film. Vipeg says, "What's up, snowflakes?"
The last thing they'll expect. Hi from Scotland. Yo, Scotland! Become independent and take me with you.
Percentage law and insurance services will also move what is left logistics. Hughes says, not enough beagles smoking cigarettes in labs in the UK. Bin them EU rules, remember? Or am I much too old now? You know, you remember the beaches were like clean. Now, when I was a kid, I mean, I'm not older than you, but when I was a kid, you didn't went to Blackpool. It was like, don't go in the sea. You could see the pipe where all the turds came out. Yeah. And then after that,
the Mersey trouts in there.
And
the ribble trouts,
and then the beaches all became clean. You could go in there, and the water was clean, and you know the sand was nice. And and now we're going back to the 1970s.
They've filled our rivers with shit.
Yeah,
filled our airwaves with shit. They've filled our political discourse with shit. Basically, they've made everything shit. Yeah, because that's all the Tories know how to do. All they know how to do is to destroy. They do not know how to create anything.
Right.
Just take something that works and says, we're going to stop this from working properly.
Yeah.
Because profit.
Yeah. And so, just going on that note, on top of the news that Vauxhall has said it he's calling for the government to renegotiate the Brexit deal because otherwise it might move its factories out of the UK. Ford and Jaguar Land Rover have also said the same thing today.
I love Brexit, mate. Brexit's the best. Hey, for Brexit!
Big global car makers have called on the UK government to renegotiate the Brexit deal, saying rules on where parts are sourced from threaten the future of the British automotive industry. Ford and Jaguar Land Rover joined Stellantis, joins Vauxhall, Peugeot and Citroën to warn the transition to electric vehicles will be knocked off course unless the UK and EU delay stricter rules of origin due to kick in next year. I mean, there was one thing about he can slag off the Brexiteers, but Sir Patrick Minford got one thing right, didn't he? He said it would we'd have to sacrifice the car industry, the British motor industry.
Wind down the car industry.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things that Emily Maitlis said about her time at the BBC, she said you'd be able to find 100 people, economists, who would say that Brexit would be a disaster, and then we had to spend 5 hours trying to find one economist who was qualified as an economist.
Yeah.
And thought Brexit would be a success, and we gave them equal standing in the show. And they do this with environmental issues. They get a scientist on and some public school boy who's very good at debating. Like Rees-Mogg is very good at debating. He's not. He's shite, but he that talent that they have. Of go, well, you see, the one thing that you don't understand. I fucking hate his voice. He sounds like he's being played in slow motion. Yes, what's happening to me? Either that or he's had a stroke.
Like, what's his name? The guy who does MasterChef. I used to do MasterChef. Lloyd Grossman. Right, I found something that I wanted to show, actually, which I remember.
Who lives in a house like this?
What was it? David, it's over to you. Yeah, so was it Honda have already left from Swindon? Toyota gone as well. Nissan had to be bribed to stay in the country.
Professor,
I think Honda went, and Swindon was a big town, a big Brexit voting town, and then they got absolutely fucked because the car company's like, well, we can't do just in time anymore, so what's the point?
Yeah.
Just-in-time delivery for anyone who's not sort of au fait with all this. I'm only au fait with it because of our friend Kieran, the van driver, who's given me the sort of lowdown on all this. Is basically they don't have anywhere to store the parts
Yep.
that go into making a car, for instance, because real estate costs too much. So instead, they have stuff that has to arrive at a certain time as a little window for arrival. It's taken off the back of the truck and put straight onto the production line, which when there was no hold up at our ports around the country was something that you could do. I mean, there'll be an occasional car accident or something that would stop a truck getting in time, but generally speaking, it was pretty bloody seamless. And then we decided to throw a load of fucking spunk in the works and just gum it all up like a bunch of twats and decide that everyone has to wait 5, 6, 7 hours at Calais to come across on the boat or go through the Channel Tunnel. And they had to have a secret number that was given to them by the British government that they had to pay 17 different freight forwarders to ascertain. And yeah, and the number of people bringing stuff to this country just dropped off a cliff.
Well,
Now, the lorry drivers who stayed in the UK that aren't going to Europe anymore, they're just the continent. They're just staying continental Europe. I should say they're just staying on this island. They're raking it in because a lot of the other lorry drivers from the EU just left.
Yeah.
So they're earning about a third more now because they can just put the price up. But don't forget, you're paying that extra price, and that's why your pint of milk has gone up from 60p to 99p. Yay, Brexit!
There's a Brexit benefit for the lorry drivers alone, just the lorry drivers, no one else.
I'm getting really sick of them blaming COVID and the invasion of Ukraine as why our economy's doing so bad. Every other country in the world had to deal with fucking COVID.
Well,
Every single one had to deal with it.
It wasn't just that sorry, go on, Graham. Sorry.
And as far as like our economy's doing badly because Russia invaded Ukraine. You know, Russia's economy is doing better than ours. Getting their asses kicked in Ukraine itself, but their economy is doing worse, even better than ours, even with all the sanctions that have been put on it by over 100 countries.
Yeah. So one of the things about that lorry drivers as well was, if you remember, there was a thing because the lorry drivers didn't want to come into the UK from Europe to deliver because they then get stuck taking stuff back out into Europe. So what they did was they priced into the transport from Europe, the European transport companies. They've priced in that the lorry would bring something over to the UK and then would go back empty. Because it was empty, they didn't have to go through any customs checks or put any paperwork in. So that obviously adds to the price of it. I mean, the environmental impact to that as well is like, because then you're doubling the amount of stuff. I mean, there's less stuff going back to Europe for starters, but you know, the lorries traipsing across Europe completely empty because there's nothing to take back there.
Yeah. And Marcus is pointing out in the chat, he's saying Cabotage, which is a fantastic song by the Beastie Boys back in the early 90s. But no, seriously, Cabotage is basically picking up loads of different cargo on one trip.
Yeah.
Instead of just going for one bit of cargo and then either going there empty or coming back empty. You can pick up all this different stuff, and basically that's been sacked off by Brexit as well.
I think they're only.
Do you know what? The millionaires who told people to vote for Brexit are doing all right because they've got enough money. And Rishi Sunak was asked this evening what the benefits of Brexit were, and he said cheap beer. And I was like,
I don't think
cheap
beer is
fucking beer? Are you shitting me? It's like £6.50 for a fucking pint.
Yeah.
And he said, but then again, I guess to someone who's worth more than £700 million, a guy who earns more in a second than you earn in a week. Yeah, I'm sure that £6.50 seems very, very cheap. Guy doesn't know how to use a debit card or a petrol pump. Shite.
Yeah. Just going back to the article, current post-Brexit rules require 40% of electric vehicles parked by value to be sourced in the UK or EU if it was to be sold on the other side of the channel without a 10% trade tariff. This proportion is due to rise to 45% next year. Because most electric vehicle batteries are still imported from Asia, and batteries make up a large part of the cost of building a car, vehicles made in the UK and EU are likely to fall foul of the rules. Stellantis said on Wednesday that without a rethink, it would be forced to shut some of its UK operations, putting jobs at risk in an industry that employs 800,000 people in Britain. But, you know, we have to keep Jacob Rees-Mogg happy.
We do. We have to keep the aristocrats happy. The aristocunts. Basically, if you're born rich in this country, you get to do what you like.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know some of the websites that I've made, one of them's called privateschoolmafia.com. You type that in, and it just gives you a very good list of over 500 people in the public eye. 500 people who went to private school in this country, and it's an insane list. There's people on there, and you will be like, you're shitting me. And essentially, we have a glass ceiling in this country, not just for women, and obviously women still don't get paid the same as men for doing the same jobs, but for all of us who went to state schools, and 93% of us went to state schools. So it's like when you see the leader of the SNP, Labour, the Lib Dems, the Greens, the Tories, and Plaid Cymru. Oh no, actually no. Plaid Cymru is the only one I think that didn't go to private school. The leaders of all the main parties in this country did, apart from Wales. Mark Drakeford, is it in Wales?
Yes. No, he's not Plaid. He's Labour.
Oh, sorry, he's Labour, isn't he? Who's in charge of Plaid Cymru? He's about to resign, or he's just resigned, hasn't he?
Oh, right.
Wasn't he in? They found basically there was sexual harassment in Plaid Cymru, and it wasn't, the response to it was not great, apparently.
Vipex says, please don't leave Vauxhall, not till I get my car delivered, for crying out loud. It's been a year already waiting for it. Duke says, Vauxhall, another British institution lost to stupidity. Zhao says, yeah, renegotiate, a process that implies both parties see mutual advantages in renegotiating. So I guess the EU receiving all that investment now is dying to renegotiate a done deal. Yeah. Van Dit says, Nanny does the mass debate.
Hey.
Aki says, Hugh, how's the water in Wales? I think he's dead. It's a review how the implementation has gone. Technical stuff, not renegotiating anything. Yeah, so they're not. What advantages them to is there for the EU to renegotiate those tariffs?
Well, there isn't.
No, but the German car industry,
our economy on a plate.
Car industry.
See what you want.
They'll come to our. They'll come to save us. German car.
Oh yeah, the German car manufacturers. Yeah, this is the thing. It's like when they were talking about let's go WTO. Do you remember that? Let's have no trade deals with anyone in the world. And it's like, does anyone just trade with the rest of the world on the WTO basic, if you like? That's the minimum amount that you have to be able to trade with the rest of the world, in order to be a member of the WTO. And there was literally no other country. Often like Mauritania, and then they got a trade deal with someone. It was like, okay, so yeah, we would be the only one. And he's absolute dickhead to know nothing about anything. But you know, whenever there's something that comes up, suddenly they're a trade expert. Suddenly they're an expert in disease control. Oh my God, suddenly I'm an expert in vaccines. Oh my God, today I'm an expert in the war in Ukraine. And it's just like, what goes through these people's heads? Probably not much, but like, what makes them think that they are the authority that should be listened to? Yeah. Honestly, what gives them the confidence? Like, I'm riddled with self-doubt all the time. I suffer from like imposter syndrome. You know, earlier when you were talking about me going to every country in the world, sometimes that feels like someone else did that. Like I just watched someone else do it on the television or something, and it wasn't actually me. And I've got to sort of pinch myself and go, no, Graham, that was you. You did that. That's okay. But then you tell someone, they think you're an arrogant arsehole for like bringing it up. All the time. Yeah.
Adrian Wilson says the details and complexity of modern cross-border trade and supply chains was largely and sadly just well beyond the knowledge and thought radar of leavers. It rests emotionalized simplism. Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
British sanctions for British people, says Lefty Boater. Joe says, I talked about a friend, truck driver, that would not drive to UK for triple the pay. His boss is now carrying goods from Portugal and Spain to Central Europe and Scandinavia. Nobody's calling them out.
Leslie's saying the UK is like the Black Knight on Monty Python. You're absolutely spot on there.
Yeah, that's
just a flesh wound. It's like,
come back.
Are you mad? Are you just what is wrong with these people that they just think that like I think that I sometimes talk about in my show. I think that there's a certain generation, I won't say which one, that if you think about their life, they grew up in the nuclear age. You had all these mad nuclear tests going off all over the world. Like every day there'll be a nuclear test in Russia or Nevada or in the South Pacific. And all that radiation was going somewhere. And then you've got everything had lead in it. The petrol had lead in it, the pipes had lead in it, the paint had lead in it. And then you had like the fact that everyone smoked. Literally everyone in the whole universe smoked or had to breathe in cigarette smoke because people smoked on the bus, they smoked at work, they smoked at home, they smoked in a taxi. Like you couldn't get away from the smell of smoke. And I think all those toxins, all those incredibly dangerous chemicals that are in those things just got into people's heads. And I think there's an entire generation that aren't quite right. Not all of them, obviously. Hashtag not all boomers. Oh, sorry, I said boomers. It's just,
yeah, I mean,
it seems there is a propensity. And I'll tell you something as well. This there's a horrible case going on at the moment about a nurse who murdered babies in, I think it was in Manchester.
no, I can't remember where it was, but I know which one you mean. Yeah,
And that's one of the cases of like, if she's found guilty, she's a proper serial killer. And it's quite rare these days. Growing up in the 80s, there was a fucking serial killer in the news every week. You couldn't move for serial killers. That particular, age group who were sort of in their 30s, 40s around that time. It was a great time for going around killing people and putting them in your fridge.
I saw a thing about because when he added the guy who added lead to fuel to make it more efficient, he got more mileage out of petrol.
He also invented CFCs.
Yeah. And
Same
he
guy.
it was like somebody said that the average IQ of the human population dropped by 10% over that period when lead was in the fuel.
Really?
Something like
Okay,
that.
so
yeah.
my mad theory about it being all the chemicals and toxins that people have inhaled
Yeah, it's
and
probably,
have
yeah.
shot through their body, like
Yeah.
radiation is like tiny little bullets being shot through your body. The people sort of, I think people understand what radiation is in terms of like it's really bad for you, and it comes from the sun as well. So when you go into when you're lying on the beach, you're getting really hot. The sun is firing loads of little bullets through your skin. That's why it causes skin cancer. Anyway, go on, Lee.
Well, 32 is saying here
so
is
random.
already known in the EU because the city is going to get demonetized like a YouTube channel, says Zhao. I've said before that we need to all find a way off this island into the EU and leave the traitors to it. Number 3 says that's from the debtors. Number 3 says this TCP thing annoys me. Trading over thousands of miles is better than 30 miles apparently. Climate crisis means nothing to these idiots. So they don't care.
Yeah.
Adrian Wilson says Brexiteers will likely blame farming businesses for not discovering new port markets in Islamic countries of the Middle East before blaming themselves for their own foolishness. Salary Cat said, I work with an expert on the vaccine that claims that WEF are using. Claims the WEF, that World Economic Forum, are using to remote control our brains. Claims he cured himself after having a stroke at 38. Fucking hell. Quit.
There's a message there from Marcus saying the missus's niece died from lead paint on a cot.
God,
Oh my god, that's horrible. Really sorry to hear that, Marcus. That is just.
I'm guessing that was a
I mean,
long time
they
ago.
knew lead was bad. This is the thing about cigarettes and stuff like that. The idea that cigarettes weren't that harmful was just made up by the cigarette companies. We had known they were harmful for years. Not when the science had come through in the late 50s. I'm talking about like if you read Sherlock Holmes, there's a bit in Sherlock Holmes where Watson, who's a doctor, berates Sherlock for smoking because he says, you know, smoking is bad for you, Sherlock. And that was what, the 1890s? Because it doesn't take much to put 2 and 2 together that like people were dying in fires and house fires.
Yeah.
But they weren't dying of being burned. They were dying of inhaling the smoke because the smoke was toxic.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like that much of a scientific leap of the imagination to go, hey, maybe we shouldn't inhale this smoke substance. But the cigarette companies, the munitions companies, the oil companies, the gun companies, and the
sugar companies, I think,
Republicans and the Tories, they're all fuckers. They're all the same people. of all these coked up
Yeah.
public school twats who have decided to destroy this planet and everything that's good about it.
There's a book about the
Also,
about
Vendetta, you say radiation's rays. You're right, but that's gamma rays in it because you've also got alpha and beta radiation, which is particles, or kind of. It's like, isn't it? What is it? Wave particle duality. I don't know. I'm not a particle scientist. I should ask Catherine. She's actually got a degree in physics. She's got a PhD. Sorry, she's a PhD. Dr. Catherine. Anyway, Lee, sorry.
Sorry, there's a book. There's a book came out a few years back, and it basically detailed how the tobacco industry set about seeding doubt in people's minds by paying scientists in universities, who usually work in universities, to wear lab coats and go on TV and basically do research, so-called research, question the validity of these claims that smoking was bad for you. And you look at it, and literally all these other industries like the fossil fuels industry, like you say, gun lobby, all these different industries where they all use this technique of seeding doubt in people's minds and saying, oh, well, this expert says actually no, it's a load of bollocks. And the people go, oh, well, he's got a lab coat, he's a researcher at some university or whatever. And they all use the same technique to do it.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same thing with climate change.
Yeah,
exactly the same thing. They learned the lessons of how to just, make sure that we don't ban cigarettes for another 30, 40 years after we find out that it literally is the most deadly thing you could possibly do. And it was killing 120,000 people in this country every fucking year. And don't forget, 6 million people around the world still die every year from smoking. And a huge number of that, I mean, something like 400 to 500,000 of them are children.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great. Anyway, someone's pointing out about sugar as well, about the sugar lobby. Which is like Tate and Lyle, who are a bunch of fucking Tories. They sponsor the Tory fucking conference, saying, "Oh yeah, it's fat. That's the problem. Cut the fat off your bacon. You'll live forever. Here, have some more sugar." And fat, the fat that we get from sugar when it's metabolized in our systems to become fat is way worse than the fat that you eat in your dairy or you're off the side of your steak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, we'll move on to the next one because we're getting on a bit of time here. Revealed richer graduates in England will pay less for degree than poorer students. Measures being introduced in August, labelled.
You just put this up to wind me up, didn't you, Lee? This
just literally
fucks me off.
It's like, how could I wind Graham up? Measures being introduced in August.
From is it Guards by Terry Pratchett, where he talks about buying a fucking pair of boots, and because he's got no money, he has to buy a new pair of boots every year, and they always fall apart. If he was rich, he could buy a really good pair of boots, and they would last for 10 years.
Yeah.
This is absolutely on the same level. It is just, if you are rich, you pay less for your degree, which you don't even fucking need because you're rich.
So the government's student loan reforms will benefit the country's best paid graduates at the expense of nursing graduates, teachers and other lower and middle income earners. New research reveals that one of the biggest reforms of student loans in England for more than a decade. Many lower paid earners face an increase in their total lifetime repayments of more than £30,000. Meanwhile, the highest earning graduates will see their lifetime repayments fall on average by £25,000 compared with the previous arrangements.
Essentially, what this is that you can pay off. If you can pay off your loan quickly because you're rich, you pay a lot less in interest. Whereas if you're middle earner, like working for the NHS, doing an important job, you are basically going to spend literally tens of thousands of pounds more on your student debt. No, forget this shit. If you have graduated ever in your life, this is the new rule. We just write off all the old student debt. And we say, if you are a graduate and you earn more than 30,000 a year, you get an extra 1% income tax for the rest of your life. That's it. So then the bigger earners will actually have to spend more on their degree than the people who aren't earning much.
The research,
and you don't have to pay it at all unless you're earning a decent amount above the average wage.
Yeah. Forecasts that a graduate earning 37,000 by 2030 paid back 63,100 over the course of their career, while a graduate earning 70,000 will pay back just 55,000. This is effectively a massive subsidy to predominantly white, predominantly male graduates. It's deeply regressive, says Gavin Conlon,
Absolute disgrace.
on economics. Patricia Marcus, Royal College Nursing Director of England, said these changes are disgrace and will blatantly disproportionately affect nursing staff. It means nurses
bring in a graduate tax. You know what? I'd be quite happy with that, even though my student loan is getting written off later this year. Woohoo! I wouldn't mind if in the future, in 10 years' time, if I ever earn as much as £30,000 a year, I would quite happily pay 1% extra income tax to cover the fact that I went to university.
So you can see here. So basically, under the current system, you see that the more you earn, the more you pay. Apart from the 9th grade of 70,000, the blue bars of the current system. But under the new system, you can see it kind of starts off going that way. Then once you get to the 37k, it peaks and it starts dropping back. The more and more you earn, the less you'll pay.
Fucking Tories, mate.
Yep.
Fucking Tories.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And Netta says, I wish mine was, but the age of 55 and taking it in about being written off. I think that Duke Vengeance says, fuck. Yeah.
This drives me mad. You know what? I hate it when people talk about how much university costs or how much public transport costs or how much our membership of the EU costs. It doesn't cost anything. It just makes us money. Public transport makes more money by existing than it does if it didn't. So it doesn't matter how much this stuff costs. It's always going to be a net benefit. It will, even HS2, believe it or not, in the long run, will be a net benefit to this country. And when we talk about investments in education, and especially when we talk about the EU, those fuckers putting 350. The EU costs us £350 million a week. No, it doesn't. It made us £2 billion a week profit. We're quids in because we were part of the biggest. We were one of the 3 senior partners of one of the biggest trading bloc and union of all time, and the biggest and most successful. And we decided, no, we're not going to do that anymore because some twat from a private school told us that it was bad, and we just assume that if someone's got a posh accent, they're intelligent. British people, eh?
We'll move on because I think that kind of covers what the gist of that is. Luckily,
enjoying my swearing.
We've moved on now. We've finished on the Duke says, "Fuck the greedy wealthy bastards." Casper says they're talking about upping the fees in Northern Ireland to £7,000 because of the Secretary of State's budget. Joe says student loans such a strange concept. Yeah. I mean, if you're a graduate and you earn more, you're obviously going to pay more. You've got more disposable income. It just benefits all around, doesn't it? Tax you're going to pay, the amount of money you're putting back into the economy.
The thing is, all the Tory stuff that they do, it never affects their base. They always try and bring things in that only fuck over the millennials, the Generation Z, and the things that they think are most important. Their hierarchy of needs is like the number one thing is to make sure that we leave a worse planet, a worse place, a worse country, a worse economy than we found. You know what I mean? That's it. And it's such a Machiavellian way of seeing the world. And
do you think it's that? Or do you think they just don't care? They just don't care what state the planet is or anything. They just, as long as they're okay, and
they want someone to be doing worse than they are. I think that's a huge part of it.
Right.
I think that they're not doing so well. I mean, some of them are doing great, but people have shit things happen in their lives. You know, people die, dogs die. You know, people get ill. Your house burns down, and there's this weird thing in this country where instead of wanting everyone to have a good time and getting off on the fact that everyone's having a good time, they want to gloat over the fact that someone is having a worse time than they are. That's like their number one fucking priority in life.
Well, they also
like, life's a bit shit, but it's not as shit as that, poor fuckers. And that's why they go after trans people. It's why they go after immigrants. It's why they go after asylum seekers. They go after the people who have got fuck all. Do you know when they went after in fucking Parliament today? Fucking travellers.
Yeah,
it's like they're nearly running out of minorities to demonise. So that horrible little twat, Esther McVeigh, stands up in Parliament today and she says, in my constituency, there are these travelers and they leave a mess. Nothing in there about what they could do to make life a little bit better. Travelers, give them permanent places.
Yeah.
That set up so when they're in a particular area, they've got a designated place to stay. We could do that. It wouldn't be very difficult, and it would really be a good thing culturally for our country as well. And it would really help the kids who are growing up in traveller communities. There was nothing there about assisting people who are travellers. It was just wanting to move them on.
Yeah.
It was a problem with someone else's. Fucking NIMBYism. And yes, I am enjoying being able to swear for the first time in a couple of months. Thank you, Lee.
Right, we're moving on to less stuff to wind you up. So, this Georgia innovator, Georgia's in the United States, is transforming dilapidated buildings into affordable housing. There's no building that can scare Mary Stagmeyer. I'm going to say it's that Margie Stagmeyer. Show a dilapidated apartment complex littered with trash and sees the opportunity to provide hundreds of families with affordable housing. It started with the Madison Hills Apartments in Cobb County, Georgia. The 446-unit property was blighted, criminal activity was high, and the kids who lived there went to a failing elementary school. It was clear that the toxic effect of the complex was spilling over to the school. Stagmeyer, an affordable housing innovator, told The Week... Why does that appear there? Get rid of that. Oh no, what have I done? Sorry. Oh, damn it. I don't want him on there.
Oh, I thought that Trump resigns. I was thinking, how's he going to resign? He doesn't have a job. Fucking bum.
Stagmeyer and Fuzzman told after Stagmeyer and her partners bought Madison Hills, they renovated it and formed a partnership with the school. Stagmeyer also started the non-profit Star C, which launched an after-school program to help young residents. Within 5 years, 90 kids were in the program, and their school was a Title I school of distinction. Affordable housing provides stability and influences a person's finances, education, and health. In 2020, the U.S. Government Accountability Office found that in areas it examined, median rent increases of $100 a month were associated with a 9% increase in homelessness. Having to move multiple times a year because of rising rents also interferes with a child's education. Research has shown that kids lose 3 months of reading and math learning every time they change schools. People need a place to live to raise their families in a conducive, reduced stress environment, Stagmeyer said. Housing affordability allows families to stay in place and form the important community relationships and trust to thrive. Our tenants of consistency to meet their neighbours, network thriving jobs, select careers, feel pride and happiness in their housing environment no matter their income, rather than having to uproot and move every year and chase affordability. In a new book, Blighted, A Story of People, Politics, and American Housing Miracle, Stagmeyer writes about using the success of Madison Hills as a blueprint for a team's next big purchase in 2018, the Summerdale Apartments in Atlanta. Dozens of informational meetings were held when the property was purchased. So the project began with a buy-in from the community. Like Madison Hills, the complex was renovated because it is not as expensive as new construction. At Madison Hills, it cost $45,000 to renovate each unit. It would have cost more than $130,000 to completely rebuild. Renovating allowed us to keep the rent at $725 per month rather than the $1,300 per month they would have been charged for a new build. On top of renovation, forming partnerships with local school, health clinics, area foundations, non-profits, and law enforcement, as well as introducing the Star City after-school program, has given Summerdale the boost it needed. Crime rates plummeted, and there are plenty of activities for kids who can often be found on the playground they designed. This affordable housing prototype can be replicated across the US, Stagmeyer said, with landlords looking to be a community lens rather than a commodity. We can offer an example of a unique housing model with a tenant at the centre. Like any business, if you put your customer at the centre, the profit comes.
Well, this is something that we found in Liverpool, isn't it? We had the streets, the Welsh streets and the 4 streets in Liverpool, in Toxteth, that got renovated because it is cheaper to renovate existing property than it is to build new stuff. Now, if you talk to an architect or someone who builds houses for a living, they'll tell you the opposite. They'll say, no, it's much better that you make a new build, but that's hardly ever the case. And also, let's talk about your carbon footprint, which is a term made up by the fossil fuel companies to make us feel guilty over their crimes against humanity. But when you think about how much you are contributing to CO2 in the atmosphere, the creation of concrete creates a lot of fucking CO2. I'd rather there was less of this stuff. What I found out today, Lee, you know that fucking Burj Khalifa pile of shit in in
Oh,
Dubai, the
yeah.
one that stacked up like a bunch of coins. It doesn't open until 10 o'clock in the morning. About time that you can get to the top and the heat haze makes it so you literally can't see anything. Well, you can't go to the top, but you can get to like the 100th and whatever floor. You can't see anything. I got there once at like 7 in the morning thinking I'll get there fresh and early. We'll get to the top. I'll be able to see for miles. If Earth was flat, I should be able to see New York from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't see shit. Anyway, that building, not only has it got no toilets, sorry, not no
What?
toilets, it does have toilets.
Oh, just gonna say.
It's not connected to the sewage system. They have to have shit trucks. They have to have dozens of shit trucks to pump out all the poo every morning from this giant building. It's only going to last 100 years
Right.
because it's so hot and there's so the concrete's so dense, and basically the rebar in the concrete at some point, because of the humidity, will expand and crack, and there's no way of fixing it. They can't renovate it. It's literally going to last 100 years, and then it's just going to have to be torn down, blown up. I hate that. I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
When there's two great quotes that I absolutely love when we talk about building, architecture, renovation, all that kind of stuff. One of them is Christopher Wren, who, when someone asked why he was spending so much time making St. Paul's Cathedral look so amazing, he said, because we are building for eternity.
Yeah.
Which is like, if you build something beautiful enough, people will protect it. Which is why when there was a massive fire at Notre Dame, they rebuilt it exactly as it was. And Dresden Cathedral was destroyed in the war in the 90s when Germany was reunified. It was rebuilt exactly as it was. And the Twin Towers were destroyed in 2001. They were so fucking ugly that they went, oh, well, then we'll build something else. If that had been the Chrysler building, if that had been the Empire State Building, they would have rebuilt it exactly as it was, because they're beautiful buildings. They spent a bit of time making them look good. It was the Flatiron building. If it was Grand Central Station, they would have made it exactly as it was. Would have put it all back. This disposable architecture just makes me sick. And if you ever go to Brazil, Barcelona in Spain, and see the Gaudi stuff there, which is fantastic, you got the Sagrada Familia, this amazing cathedral there. And it looks like a big termite nest or something coming out of the ground. It's fantastic. And someone asked him why he was spending so much time doing these little details at the very top of the cathedral. And he said, so why are you doing those details? No one's going to see that, Anton, or whatever his name was. And he turned around and he said, the angels will see it. Which I love. I just like amazing attention to detail. 400 feet up in the air. And he's like, no, I'm going to make this look really nice. Even if nobody sees it, I'm going to know it looks nice. It's like wearing sexy underwear.
On that note,
doesn't matter if no one sees it. It makes you feel good.
David Gerardo's here. Hi, David.
Hello, David. How you doing?
Couldn't sleep, so joining the party. Yeah, they put about when asked what he'd do if PM getting rid of travellers reduced response. Who's that? I don't know who's. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's anything.
One is saying Roman concrete is still around. Yeah, it is, because Romans knew how to make concrete, whereas we don't.
I saw
put fucking rebar in it, which expands and cracks the concrete.
I don't know. It's in Italy. There's like there's a Colosseum that has still got a football. It's like still a football stadium, like a Roman Colosseum, and it's got a football pitch, and they still use the steps and everything.
The old stand, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So yeah,
quite a few amphitheaters around the Mediterranean that are still used for like production and shows and things, and they still work.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I like. I mean, I'm not saying that architecture can't move on and do new things, but I'd like the stuff that looked good in the past to be preserved and renovated and used in new and exciting ways. Again, Liverpool. I mean, I always give that as an example, but if you go down sort of Rodney Street, it's these old buildings that were like this gorgeous Georgian terraces, and they were homes. They were people's homes. But now it's all kinds of different things. There's doctor surgeries. There's cafes and there's bars and sort of multi-use to them of these old Georgian terraces. You can't do that with a Barrett home. You can't do that with a Red Row home. You can't turn it into a bar.
Yeah.
You can't. You just can't. It's got one function and that's it. And you can never sort of go, oh, I'm going to change this now and I'll make it
Well,
into a shop or something.
Can you actually see some of those houses lasting 100 years? I don't.
No,
When you look at them,
no.
the way they're built.
Absolute shite. Most brick-looking buildings now are not actually
No,
brick. They're made out of
block.
breeze blocks because
Yeah.
it's cheap and really quick to build, or poured concrete, and then they just put a facade on it. They just stick this fucking plastic shit on the side. And it looks like bricks.
Or
Like,
it's
yay.
shavings of bricks. Because my dad was a builder,
I was
so
like, you lazy bastards.
Yeah.
And now you got AI. AI is just making buildings now. All architects are going to go out of business. Love it.
David
That's what you
Barzais-
get for not building nice stuff.
Yeah, David Barzais says
You look at it and you go, a robot could do that. In fact, that's what a robot would build. If robots could just build stuff, if they built a robot city, it would look a lot like the Beetham Tower in Manchester.
True.
No flair, no
No.
soul, no emotion, just a box for
Yeah.
living in because they're robots and they don't care about beauty.
I must admit, I do marvel at some of the architecture in my home city of Bradford, says David Barzais. Jow says they dug away an entire city centre and the concrete and stone buildings are almost intact. In Morobriga, for example, Santiago de Cacern, Setúbal Council. Is that in Portugal, I take it? Look at what Bauhaus meant. Yeah, did you see James Cleverly talking about Bauhaus, about the structure of structure of these
missed that.
committees, and he's like, "What is a structure?" And he's like, "Well, you know, the form follows the fact." And he was just absolute nonsense. He was talking. I didn't watch it all the way through, but
The guy who proves that normative determinism is bullshit.
also in Trier, Germany, some Roman buildings are from around 190. I guess that's 190 AD.
Yeah.
Right, we want to next thing.
Oh, we've got more stuff.
Just a couple more. We'll
Hey,
whiz through them.
this is more like it.
Zoe's hiring people to dress up as birds.
to dress up as birds to scare away seagulls.
you
Mate, I
fancy
want
that
that
as a
job. What's boss? I want that fucking job.
Yeah.
Pay me and I'll do that.
The seagull deterrent must be comfortable wearing a bird costume. So you're happy with that? Blackpool Zoo is posted the advert for seagull deterrents after a spate of food thefts.
Oh, it's
from
in
visiting
Blackpool.
enclosures.
Fuck that Tory shit town.
One requirement.
Sorry, I'm from Liverpool, so I get to say this.
Well, my dad used to live in
Fucking Tory
Cleveland, which is
voting
just
shithole.
north of Blackpool, and it's just OAP central, isn't it? Blackpool.
Well, Blackpool, they took somewhere nice and they made it horrible, and then they filled it with twats.
The full job
What
advert
do you
reads.
expect? I'm sorry if I
Bla-
offend anyone in the chat here who's from Blackpool, but I'm sorry, and I hope you got out.
Blackpool Zoo, it goes out saying that we love all animals, and as a seaside resort, Blackpool is not short of seagulls. However, the seagulls are proven to be a bit of a nuisance when it comes to trying to steal the food from our visitors and our animal enclosures. We need to do what we can to keep the seagulls away from our main visitor dining areas, which is why we're looking for a team of people to join our visitor services team at Seagull Deterrence. Successful candidate must also be focused, energetic, friendly, and flexible. Flexible.
Fixable and flexible.
Seagulls are stealing food from humans and animals in their enclosures, from the animals as well. It comes after a seagull has been put down after he's dragged along the streets of the seaside town on a leash.
Yeah, I saw that.
What was that? Did somebody put a leash on it?
Yeah,
You
they
dragged
put
it
a
around.
lead and took it because the fucking horrible fucking Blackpool people, I
Jesus.
guess. I don't know. Just Blackpool's
Yeah, I was-
horrible.
yeah,
There
I
are
was
these
piece-
beautiful buildings along the promenade, and then
Yeah.
they just made a fucking road in front of it where these dickheads go up and down really fast, and then they added these boxes on the front, like the 70s, 60s, and 70s. Added these boxes to the front of these old sort of Victorian mansion houses and hotels, and it's just shite.
Yeah, I do.
Just and it said tacky as well. It's just fucking. Like people talk about traveling and going to sort of third world nations and developing nations and staying in like really dodgy places. Probably one of the dodgiest places I've ever stayed in the world was in Blackpool. It's just like
Yeah.
they have like these horrible little B&Bs that are just grotty as hell. With like mold and slime all over the walls. I'm sorry, Blackpool. I got no love for you. You vote for the Tories. This is what you get. Tell you what, Blackpool. Let's do a deal. You and me, right? Don't vote.
You cut off. Oh no, Graham's gone. What's happened? Is that me? Oh damn, that's me. Oh, sorry. I think we broke. I think we went off line there for a second there.
You went off.
Yeah, I thought it was you, but now I realised I've got a red.
Oh, we got interference from the Blackpoolians in the house. They're not happy with me.
Slagging off Blackpool. Just finishing this. The RSPCA said the incident was distressing and totally inappropriate. Lancashire Police were called to Bisburn Road in Blackpool 2 weeks ago with reports of a man pulling the live bird about by a rope tied to its neck. Officers attended the scene and arrested the man, who is understood to be in his 50s for being drunk and disorderly, and was subsequently de-arrested, though police say the matter remains subject to investigation. He should be banged up for that. That's disgraceful.
I thought that was going to be a nice, fun, interesting little sideshow story. And then it just turned into this horrible nest of animal cruelty and Blackpool.
I always do that wrong one. There we go. Right. Okay. Anyway, we have got. No, I'm not going to do that one. I think we're pretty much done, really. We've done everything.
Stick a fork in us, we're done.
We've been going for longer than we normally do, which is expected because, well, I don't know what the hell I'm doing normally, so.
Welcome to my world.
Holds it all together. I just sit here and go press buttons.
It's quite nice when there's two people and like literally you don't have to do anything and you just talk.
Yeah.
While the other person is literally fucking panicking about pressing the right thing, so the right thing comes on.
Is that how it's come across?
You press it and nothing happens, and then people are saying in the chat, "There's no sound," and you're like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" So this is very relaxing for me.
Yeah. Well, I like to make it simple as when we have guests on, just keep it as simple as possible for them, and then we do all the panicky stuff. So,
if people want to join me on Labour Social tomorrow morning. It's not going to be me, it's going to be Phil. And we've got the electrician coming round at 9 o'clock. So there's a good chance that halfway through the fucking broadcast, because I just call him up using Discord or whatever, and then he appears on the screen. And I just run it through OBS and then onto YouTube. There's a good chance it'll just stop halfway through. Poor Phil's going to be rabbiting on about how shit the Tories are.
Completely oblivious.
And, I'll be like, sorry, the electrician needed to turn all the electricity off. It's quite funny because I have my studio here set up in my spare room. Basically, I've got these like big studio lights and a camera, obviously, and everything. And there's a double bed in here, so people keep coming in and going, "What the fuck? What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, I make videos for YouTube." And they're like, "Oh, YouTube, mate. Yeah, right. Okay, YouTube." And I'm like, no. It's also the spare room. It's just, oh God. Okay, well, I've got the green screen.
Larry the Cat says love to the family. We've got a little video before we go, which is quite appropriate, this one as well. So hopefully you guys like it. Do you want to say anything about Labour Social? Because I haven't really talked about it. About what it is, what it does, in case people don't know.
Oh, Labour Social was born. I first thought of it last year because I was talking to people who are in Labour about social media and the need to sort of embrace it a little bit more because it's free to make content for social media. And all of the tabloids and TV stations and everyone who's in charge in the UK pretty much hates the Labour Party. So, it might be a good idea for them to sort of utilise the platforms a little bit more, especially YouTube, because you can make money out of YouTube. To actually make a bit of money for them. But no, they have their way of doing things. So it was suggested to me that I set it up myself and just call it Labour Social. And although I'm not properly affiliated with Labour in that way, they don't get to tell me what I'm allowed to put on or what I'm allowed to talk about. I do have access to Labour MPs and representatives and people like that, as well as other YouTubers like yourself and Maximilian and Phil and people like that. So, we're currently making it so Labour hopefully win the next election. I'm always happy to have Greens on there and to have Lib Dems and SNP representatives and stuff like that, because at the moment the channel is basically let's get the Tories out. So I'm being very supportive of Josh Russell's movement forward and tactical voting, stop the Tories, vote. And then the plan is, if next year when we do have the election, if I've got the kind of subscriber base that Phil has, he's got over 160,000 subscribers, will be a force to be reckoned with in the Labour Party. And so people like me and you, Lee, we can actually have conversations like this with Labour politicians and ask them why the fuck they haven't brought in UBI, why they haven't brought in PR, and why haven't we joined the fucking EU yet, you bastards, etc. But with less swearing. because I'm trying to stop. I'm trying not to swear.
Yeah. You got a Patreon
My name
as
is
well.
Joe.
Because one of the
I
other
do have
things about
it's Patreon. It is patreon.com/Labour Social.
There we go.
If you sign up there, you get access to our Discord server. So I do sort of like after show stuff where I go onto the Discord server after the show.
Yeah.
And Reagan was very, very gracious in setting up the server, helping me set up the server.
Yeah.
So thanks for that. If you're watching.
Because the thing is, this is all being done off by you, unpaid at the moment, isn't it? Apart from like
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
I have a very understanding girlfriend. That's all I can say. I don't know how long her understanding is going to continue, but at the moment she's very understanding.
Yeah. So it's a good platform. I think you can see the hopefully we'll be able to do stuff for you as well. I think Regan's quite keen. I'd like to do some stuff for you as well, and so in terms of content, get more content on there. You got Phil doing the morning brew with you as well, haven't you?
Morning brew.
Yeah, which is really good. Half an hour in the morning. Fortunately, I always have to take my wife to work at 10:15, so I kind of miss half of it. But
well, I'm trying to engineer every Friday night to have the Labour Social, which is just going to be basically a drunken discussion show where anyone can just drop into the Zoom chat and just say what they want to say, have a couple of drinks. We did it a couple of weeks ago before after the local elections as a bit of a celebration thing, and it was a bit last minute, but it was really, really successful. And it was a bit mad because the Oscar-winning film director Asif Kapadia Kapadaria, he joined us. He was the guy who won the Best Documentary Oscar in 2016 for Amy,
right,
about Amy Winehouse,
right.
And he dropped into this conversation, thinking that we were just having a Zoom meeting, but we were actually going out live on YouTube. And it was just him like walking around New York, and we're like, "Oh, what are you doing in New York, Asif?" And he's like, "Oh, I've got a new film coming out. It's a secret project. Can't talk about it. Blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Oh my god, he didn't know that he was going out live." So that was quite fun.
Yeah,
I'll be doing something like that on Friday, this Friday, and try and get more people involved, and just set it up as like a platform that is friendly to Labour but not beholden to Labour. I'd like to put it that way. We're also going to be friendly to the SNP and Lib Dems. Look, anyone who's not the Tories in my book, or refuck or reclaim or whatever they're calling themselves these days, are good in my book. Anyone who's sort of centre or centre left can join.
Cool, brilliant.
We'll support you.
Thanks for coming on, Graham. Really appreciate you coming on and helping out with unfortunately Reagan can't be here tonight, but he'll be back next week. Let's say Labour Social is on YouTube. If you don't know it already, I'll put a link in the chat. We also have the Discord server here, the Snowflake server. We're going to do an after show chat. I don't know if you're going to come along, Graham, for a little bit.
I've got to go, and honestly, mate, I haven't seen Catherine all day today.
Right, I know you had an interview before.
I was doing the shows. I did 2 shows today. I did Morning Brew, and then I did PMQs. And I had to sort out the attic and got covered in dust. And then I had an interview at 6 about the travels, and then that went on for 2 hours. I just literally put some food in my mouth, and then came to meet you. So she hasn't seen me, and now it's 11:15.
Yeah.
So, You know what I was saying? That I've got a very understanding girlfriend. I think we're testing the limits.
We're pushing it, yeah.
Catherine's understanding this.
I'll put a link into the Discord, the Snowflake server Discord server on the in the chat while the video's playing, because I can't do it at the moment because I have to cut Graham off the screen. So when the video's playing, I'll do that. So thanks for coming, guys. Thanks everyone for coming on. Any newcomers as well. I've seen a few new names on there. Hi, Walter Howson's another one. Everybody's mentioning Speedos.
I love this.
Speedos.
Should we auction off a pair of Marcus's Speedos? What do you reckon?
Previously worn, not washed Speedos.
Previously worn. We got a message there from Hughes saying Mary Black would be a guest on Labour Social. I think for Labour Social, I think that's what Hughes saying. That'd be fantastic.
If you get
I really like Mary Black. I think she's fucking cool.
Yeah. So that's definitely one that maybe can get sorted.
Although she will probably spend the whole time slagging off Labour.
Fair enough. Right.
I'll try and steer her towards the Tories.
Oh, AllShorts says the elastic is gone. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're gonna frame them and put them on the
Still
wall.
moist.
All shorts. We're not gonna wear them, except maybe on our heads
So
or our
Larry,
faces.
so Larry the cat says still moist. Speedos.
Oh God!
And on that bombshell, I will leave you with this video.
On that still moist speedos.
We'll leave you with this. Have a good week. Don't forget Morning Brew in the Morning tomorrow on Labour Social. Great. And you can have a chime when he has little chats in the background. Is Phil on tomorrow?
Yes, Phil.
Phil's on tomorrow. Phil's tomorrow. Phil more. Right.
Phil's filling in.
Right.
Phil.
Cheers, Graham. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. We'll see you. I'll catch up with you later. And thanks everybody for coming. I'll catch up with you next week or on the chat after on the server, Discord server. In the meantime, I will leave you with this, which is very apt, I think.
Fuck the Tories!
Not that. That wasn't what I was going to leave you with. But
Oh, sorry.
Professor,
I'm just
is
reading the
there a
comments.
consensus in the scientific community about the effects of climate change?
Well, yes, there is. Human beings are exacerbating the heating of the planet, and that's a scientific fact.
As you know, we must adhere to broadcasting regulations. So in the interest of balance, here's someone who doesn't believe in climate change.
Climate change has absolutely nothing to do with humans.
Well, that is absolutely...
Excuse me, I didn't interrupt you. Global temperature change has existed for millennia on planet Earth, and that is a fact.
As you know, we must adhere to broadcasting regulations. So in the interest of balance, here's someone who thinks the Earth is not a planet.
John, the Earth is flat, like a ruler or a pancake or a sheet of high-quality cardboard. This is ridiculous.
Excuse me, I didn't interrupt you.
Now, people are falling off all the time, and they're landing on the surface of Mars, or they're getting their heads stuck in the rings of Saturn. People are dying, and that's a fact.
Now, in the interest of balance, here's someone who thinks people are not dying.
Well, nobody ever dies, really. You might look at them in the coffin and think, he's dead. But then when you turn around, he might wink at you. Or say, pass the chocolate fingers.
That's moronic.
Excuse me, I didn't interrupt you.
I'm sorry, I came in here for an intelligent discussion.
Yes, you did. And in the interest of balance, here's someone who didn't.
La 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 la.
So if I could just ask...
Excuse me, I didn't interrupt you.
As you may have noticed, we've had quite a lot of humans on the programme tonight. So in the interest of balance, here's a horse. Well, that's all we have time for. We've had a lot of people interrupt. Excuse me, I didn't interrupt you.
Hey, we're Foil Arms and Hog. We have a brand new sketch every single Thursday.
So please like, subscribe and share.
We also do...
sorry, I've cut that off there. Right, thanks for coming, guys. Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye. Where's the ending bit? Stream that one. There you go. Don't forget, Labour Social.
And fuck the Tories.
Oh, hang on, I need to do that bit first. There we go.